love and coconut oil. You don't know that's much intro still on our YouTube channel. We just decided to bring the attention to Facebook since everyone is caught up in the virtual book. So let's see if they can take a page from this. As you can see in the title, it is to the attention of Christians and Christopharians, the like. Okay, it seems I want to posts or facts I put in for those who do actually pay attention to my posts. A recent post got them very irate, so it's like man was just stating facts. And this presentation right here will also bring some awareness, probably even something you were not familiar with, some information you are not privy to. Though I must admit, if you are actually about this knowledge and information, you will know by now that Constantine was never a Christian. Some sources say that it was on his dying bed that he converted to Christianity. Nevertheless, whatever the case is, it appears that this character is responsible for even the institution we know as Christianity and its alleged soul figure savior named Jesus Christ. Research and historical evidence has taken us to a level where there are records of an individual in the Sanhedrin being crucified with probably the name Joshua or Iosus, whichever one it is. Only had 5 followers and never did any of the so-called miracles that are in the Bible. So clearly, this must be a scenario of taking an individual's name and applying another sort of life to it. According to history, it turns out is solar mythology, attaching solar mythology to the character, right, who never did those things, and then you basically just made up a character. But anyway, Constantine is said to be the first Christian emperor, right, the first Christian king, and as a result converted the entire empire of Rome to Christianity. Following, we get Christianity now being spread into places. Then we have the Inquisitions and the Crusades, and missionaries going through. Let me just check you, family. Let me just check. Let me just see what we're doing. All right, everything is safe. Okay, so did Constantine really have a dream? Because it is as a result of the dream of Constantine, the alleged dream of Constantine, that he converted again to Christianity. So we're going to have a look at the dream because it is a fundamental part of Christian history, as you can see. Took our time to build a nice presentation. I don't know what that was. Let me see. Okay. Alright, so as I explained, family, this character is very fundamental, okay, in even the creation of Christianity as we know it today. Many of you, I'm sure, have came across the memes where it's saying about the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the creation of Jesus Christ, and what have you. And probably that's all you do know about the character. So we're going to go into the Roman history of it, because yes, it's good to know our African history, but as my brethren Malik always tells me, it's good to study the European history as well. So because of this video, I had to actually go into Roman history. Okay, so let's just go in and break it down slowly so everyone can get a grasp of it. Who is Constantine? Full name Flavius Valerius Constantinus is, according to the narrative, the first Roman emperor to profess Christianity. Born sometime after 280, after the Christian era, to 337, his acceptance of Christianity initiated the whole Roman Empire to their religion, and this also set in motion the Byzantine Empire and Western medieval culture. He is known for his dream, which he is alleged to have had at Milvian Bridge against Maxentius. Okay, I hope the family is with me. All right. Okay, so basically in York Minster, this is a statue or portrait or sculpture we can say of Constantine, okay, in the UK. And under it, I actually put it because that is the cover image of the presentation, but I put it because at the bottom of it, it says Constantine by this sign conquer. Okay, that is the English, but they put that there because according to the dream or according to the vision, whichever one it is, we're gonna go in to find out, it wasn't written in English. It actually says in hoc signo vinces, meaning by this sign conquer. Okay, so that slogan is very important, family. You see, so let's go in. We're gonna go into a little quick. I don't want to bore you and bring you into no long way back Roman history, okay? But for those who don't know, Rome basically was first a republic, right? And after the death of Julius Caesar in around 27 before the Christian era, civil war basically broke out, right? So we're talking like around 1st century, right? 1st century. The people of Rome made a guy called Octavian the first emperor. Okay, and this began the Principate. Now, for those who don't know, the Principate is basically the first period of the Roman Empire. This is when it began. So it started with Octavian, and Octavian was given the title Augustus. So when you see Augustus written in Rome in Latin slogans or names, it actually means venerated family, and it's not actually a name per se. You see what I'm telling you? So Octavian now was given the title Augustus, venerated. Now after Octavian, we had different dynasties. We had the Julio Claudian dynasty, which Emperor Nero was one of them. That's around 60 AD. Then we had the Flavian dynasty. Then we had the Nerva Antonine dynasty, in which we had the 5 good emperors. And Emperor Hadrian is one of those 5 good emperors. I want you to remember the names that I'm actually pointing out to you. Nero within the Julian Claudian dynasty, and Hadrian in the Nerva Antonine dynasty. Then we had a pen named Commodus and Caracalla, I believe it was, right? And then in around the 3rd century, we had crisis in Rome again. Like they always have a crisis going on, but they want to study what we do in Africa and what man going through. You see what I'm telling you? They always have a crisis going on. Anyway, crisis break out 3rd century. They had a individual or man, not my bedroom, but they had a man called Diocletian. Okay, and Diocletian basically restored order, and the people gave him the title of Domin or Domini, right, which means master. It was him, Diocletian, that divided the Roman Empire family into 4 parts. That's why the title of this is Diocletian Tetrarchy, right, in 4. So he divided it in 4 parts, and each of the parts was basically ruled by an emperor. And the father of the individual this presentation is about being Constantine. The father of Constantine ruled one of the 4. And the 4 we have, I don't even know if you will see my mouse moving, but one of the 4 was basically along Vienne or Viennesis, as it was called back in that time, Galilee, and stretching out to Britain. When he died, right? When his father died, I think it was around 306 after the Christian era. When he died, his father's army declared Constantine Emperor of Rome. You see what I'm saying? So the man's father passed away, and his father's army, knowing that basically Constantine was next in succession, basically declared Constantine the Emperor of Rome. But then he couldn't be the Emperor of Rome, family, because I just explained the place was actually divided into 4 parts by Diocletian. Okay, so as a result, obviously, if you want to be the emperor of the whole place, you have to go to war with the other kings. You see what I'm saying? And for the next 18 years, I tell you, the man, they're battling. But it was at one of those battles, family. It was at one of those battles that basically they said that he had the vision. The battle was against Maxentius. And Maxentius, I believe, was actually his brother-in-law. You see it? So, if we can see towards the upper right, district of Maxentian as Augustus. So, all the green. You check what I'm telling you? So, if he conquer that man and he take over all that, Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, all day, right? It's like they already nothing because you don't take off all day already. You don't take the entrance into the place. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you would have just take over everything. So it was at that battle, family, the Battle of Saxe-Ruba it is called, but many know it as the Battle at Milvian Bridge. That happened in 312 ACE after the Christian era. Family, dates are very important. I just put in them dates there for nothing, you know. Dates are very important, especially when you're dealing with Christians and Christopherans, the like. Okay, this is basically an artist's depiction of the battle, right? And the battle, obviously, because if the man is Christian, we know Christianity basically dealing with Rome, right? My princess trying to get my attention there. So we know Christianity basically dealing with Rome. So obviously this is a Roman feat or a Christian feat. And we have in the Vatican, okay, we have in the Vatican paintings by one individual called Raphael. Anyway, as I was saying, family, since this is a Christian feat, right, because it was basically the beginning of Christianity, in the Vatican, okay, there are artistic depictions of that very same said battle. Those depictions were done by one individual called Raphael, and they are called frescoes in the Vatican. Now let's read with me. There is a room in the Vatican attributed to Constantine because of this very feat that we're talking about. Room of Constantine. It says the room that was designed to be used for receptions and official ceremonies was decorated by the school of Raphael on the basis of drawings by the artist, who died prematurely before the completion of the work in 1520. It takes its name from Constantine, 306 to 337 AD, the first Christian emperor to officially recognize the Christian faith, granting freedom of worship. On the walls are painted 4 episodes of his life which testify to the defeat of paganism and the triumph of the Christian religion. The Vision of the Cross, the Battle of Constantine against Maxentius, the Baptism of Constantine, and the Donation of Rome. The decoration of the room is completed by figures of great popes flanked by allegorical figures of virtue. The original wooden roof, which Leo X, pontiff from 1513 to 1521 had built, was replaced under Gregory XIII by the modern ceiling, the decoration of which was entrusted by order of the Pope of Tommaso Loretti, who portrayed the triumph of the Christian religion in the central panel. The work was completed at the end of 1585 under Pope Sixtus V, pontiff from 1585 to 1590. Now, bear with me, family. Watch this, right? This is the room of Constantine, okay? And the original wooden roof, which Pope Leo X had built, it was replaced. So it was Pope Leo that basically built the roof for that room, or if not for the whole infrastructure, okay? So what I'm saying is, Pope Leo want to build a roof to cover them nice drawings of what, you know, his predecessor did, right? So Pope Leo have to know what I want with that whole dream and everything. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying that because there is a famous quote by Pope Leo that the family, or even though you're doing a little bit of research, it could be the minimum of research you do and you will come across that quote. But we're going to go into it at the later part of the video, but I just want you to remember the name Pope Leo. Pope Leo X. That name is very important, family. Okay? So we're carrying on. So this is Raphael's depiction of the battle. This is the battle again, as I said, the battle at Milvian Bridge. To the left, we have the collapse of the bridge as a result of too many soldiers on the bridge, right? And you can see an individual on the horse there looking like he sees something in the heavens or what have you. On the right is Constantine beholding the image which he saw. You see? So the vibe is there are two renditions of the story. One story said it was in the heat of the battle, okay, that Constantine looked up and he saw the vision. And even by the paintings, it even appearing that other people even saw the vision too. Even watch Diamond there and Diamond dead and Diamond still seeing that. You see what I'm saying? So the next rendition says he had a dream before the night before the battle. So which one is it? Is it a dream or is it a vision? Is it something that you actually saw in the heat of the moment? So accounts of the dream, there are two sources of the vision of Constantine. Okay, one of them is Lucius Salicius Firminius Lactanius. I don't know where man going with all them names, you know, family, to be honest. And I probably even slaughtered him name. I probably even said him name wrong too. But anyway, he was the Christian tutor of Constantine's eldest son, Crispus. And Lactantius wrote in his book. The book said the title of the book is basically De Mortibus Persecutorum. I think is the death of the persecutors or something of that sort. In the book he says, page 44, Constantine was directed in a dream to cause the heavenly sign to be delineated on the shields of his soldiers, and so to proceed to battle. He did as he had been commanded, and he marked on the shields the letter X with a perpendicular line drawn through it, and turned round thus at the top, being the cipher of Christ. Having this sign, his troops stood to arms. So if you read this carefully, it was basically before the battle he had the dream. That's why it says to cause the heavenly sign to be delineated on the shields of his soldiers, and so to proceed to battle. So they wasn't in battle. Okay, so he had the dream. Again, Lactantius, anyone who want to look it up, De Mortibus Persecutum, you must get it. The second account of the dream is by an individual called Eusebius Pamphilus of Caesarea. He was Constantine's personal biographer and trusted advisor. And his panegyric, in his panegyric, Vita Constantini, or Long Live Constantine, he says, Eusebius, Life of Constantine, 128. But since the victorious emperor himself long afterwards declared it to the writer of this history, being him, I guess, when he was ordered with acquaintance and society, and confirmed his statement by an oath, who could hesitate to believe it? I mean, why would you ask that? Why would you ask, like, who would? Anyway, let me just continue to read for the family. He said that about noon, when the day was already beginning to decline, he saw with his own eyes the sign of a cross of light in the heavens above the sun, and bearing the inscription, "In this sign you will conquer." So who or which one is really telling the truth, family? That is the question. Who is really telling the truth? You see? And the next thing is, when we do actually know who is telling the truth, what did Constantine really see? If he did actually see a sign. According to Eusebius, this is what he saw. According to Eusebius, he basically saw it was more to the right, to the image we have to the right, above the sun, a cross of light. So you will think one time is the cross. You see what I'm saying? And on the left is an artist's rendition, because you will see the cupids, the angels holding it up. But most people, most researchers, family, right, you will ask about this, will tell you that the sign that Constantine saw looked more like this, which goes with Lactantius's description. Okay, this is basically the sign, and as you can see there on the right, you can see the Hoc Vinci, you can see it right there. This sign, family, is called the Chi-Rho. The Chi-Rho. Now there are two signs which almost sound the same. A lot of people get it confused and will actually say is the Toro. Now these words, family, are basically in Greek, right? That's why it actually sounds like that. So there's the Chi-Rho, which is the one we just showed, and there is the Toro. Now we're gonna go through both, so we don't want the family to get confused. Okay. Toro. Toro is a staurogram made by superimposing the Greek letter T and P. Okay, so as you can see, it's like a T, like you have a T, and then you just superimpose, or you put the P directly on top of the T, and for the two lines across to fall in the very same place. It was first used to abbreviate the word stauros, which is the Greek word for cross. Okay, in very early New Testament manuscripts. What they fail to mention is historically this symbol goes back to a pagan goddess called Tanit. Right? Now Tanit was basically the chief deity of the Phoenician colony of Carthage. Because I myself, when early in my days of study, when I was doing some research and I came across Carthage and Hannibal Barca, I was like, yo, Hannibal not on that, going through the Alps with his elephants, and you know what I mean. And is later on getting to know they were actually Phoenician and came from Phoenicia and established that colony there and called it Carthage. You know, so again, it's building. As one say, I'm not no master teacher, but a master student going through. So the symbol, family, can be seen on solidus, which is gold coins, the symbol of the Toro. That symbol can be seen on soliduses of Justinus and Anastasius the First, in which the back of the coin had the goddess Nike holding a staff surmounted with the symbol. Remember, we're dealing with the Toro. This is an example of the gold coin to the top left, the solidus, belonging to Anastasius the First. On the reverse of the coin, that image you're seeing is actually well, they call it victory, but victory, the personification of victory, is the goddess Nike. So they will say on the obverse is victory standing left, holding a staff surmounted by a staurogram. The staurogram again is that same Toro symbol. So we have a pagan deity holding the image that some believe that Constantine saw. That's one. Then we have the Chi-Rho. So we're just differentiating the Toro and the Chi-Rho. So the Chi-Rho in our family is a monogram formed by superimposing, again, one thing, they like to put things one on top of the other to do their coding and everything, so oneself have to catch up in them thing there, still in them levels. Chi-Rho family is a monogram formed by superimposing the first two letters of the Greek word Christos, like I said in Greek. The X making the sound chi and the P making the sound ro. That's why the T was making the sound to, and the Toro, and the P was making the sound ro. So the T was making the sound to, and the P was making the sound ro. As in this example, the X is basically making the sound chi, right? Now that X is very fundamental, because remember they have the Christmas. Sometimes you will actually see Xmas, and that is where the understanding comes from, because the X and the P actually represents Christ. So you can use the X by itself as well. All that there is science in wording. So you have to be very on that too, as you know. But just as the Toro, the Chi-Rho symbol has pre-Christian origins and was venerated by the Greeks. By the Greeks family, remember, after the conquest. of ancient Egypt as representation of good fortune. The oldest finding of this symbol, remember, we're dealing with what Constantine allegedly saw. If it was the Toro, that just a few people say, let's say about 25%. Let's say if 25% says the Toro, we still trace the Toro back to a pagan origin, as they like to call it, or in an indigenous culture origin, because it was the people from Carthage, it was their deity. Now this Chiro family, according to the research I've done, probably someone else may go more in depth and go further. According to the research I've done, the oldest finding of this symbol is on coins of Ptolemy the Third Eugetes, or whatever that last name is, in 246 before the Christian era. I don't know where my ego to. Who is responsible, this same individual, Ptolemy the Third, who is responsible for erecting the Serapeum at Alexandria, Egypt. What is the Serapeum, you ask? The Serapeum is a temple built to the worship of not just Osiris. Osiris is Ptolemy's the third great-grandfather. Or his grandfather? His great-grandfather? He related to him along those lines. Very recent. So he erected a temple called the Serapeum family to worship his great-grandfather. You see, that is the the oldest finding of this symbol. Here we have a coin of this same Ptolemy the Third. This is him on the left. You make the nose and the forehead do a straight line. And the obverse of the coin, or the back of the coin, between is that a vulture? Is that an eagle? Between its legs, we can see the symbol there. Look at zoom there in the bottom left family. So what is an alleged Christian emperor citing alleged pagan symbols in the sky for? You see? So 75% of people will agree this is the symbol. But what does this symbol have to do with anything? I mean, what is that symbol? Like, you know, what is it? So we have to take it deeper on another level, family. So the Chiro family is deeper than the X and the P. Now, I know some people might find this video probably boring, but again, research, family. Because this is after that dream, everything Christianity happened, you know. Is after that dream, like the thing go full blown. You see what I'm saying? So, anyway, it is not the Toro, according to the consensus. It's actually the Chiro. But the Chiro in itself, while we saw the oldest finding of it was by Ptolemy the Third, okay, who is the same one who is responsible for building the Serapeum to his father Osiris. For those who don't know, Osiris was the Greek deity that some resources will say that deity was actually created to bring a balance between the Egyptian and the Greeks and for them to worship together and all that crap. That deity was created to replace Osiris in all the temples eventually, and to try to take our place, because that is what it is, family. These people are trying to replace us on the face of the earth. Though they know they can't really do without us, but they just need to control. I'm not going too off, but let me just tone it down a little bit because I want that video to go through full swing. So the Chiro family is deeper than the X and the P, but it's how deep the people just take the science. Okay, imagine the Earth. I'm not a flat earther, so obviously my representation of the Earth will be that of a sphere. Okay, obviously I know it's not a complete circle either. It's kind of a bit oblique, I'll say. But anyway, this is just to get an overall understanding. So the Earth family and where this X and this P comes from, this is what we're going to deal with. Okay, the Earth again as everyone should know, has an equator, right? Which runs through the center of the Earth. If you extend the equator outward, right, and you extend it to a certain amount of degrees from the center on either side, you can draw a complete circle around the Earth. It will basically be in same proportion and everything. That is referred to as the celestial sphere. They use this sort of imaginary representation of the Earth to put down ley lines, family, in terms of longitude and latitude lines, to enable us to, let's say for example, enable us to do like the global positioning system, the GPS. It is because of that, because the Earth, we mustn't forget, is constantly spinning on its axis, and while it's spinning on its axis, it is still revolving around the sun, revolving or vortexing, whichever understanding that you go by. It is still in that motion, both of them being anti-clockwise, of course, around the sun. So if they had to pinpoint an exact location for you, they can't really do that because the Earth's spinning and it's moving. So they needed to build an imaginary representation of the Earth, and that is what they call the celestial sphere. Okay, now any one of us, if we're standing anywhere and you hold a compass and it points you to north, you can basically draw a line straight above your head going to the north. Any one of us anywhere can do that. That is referred to as your meridian, right? So while all of us have meridians, which aren't really wrong because it's used to basically discern a direction, there is a prime meridian. So we can say it's there basically is a 0 point, because I mean, with all these meridians, with everyone, we need to have one that is standard and that is basically stagnant and not going anywhere, because we're moving all the time. That prime meridian runs through Greenwich, UK. Okay, and that meridian basically comes perpendicular to the equator, or the celestial equator, in the celestial sphere, family. I hope the family is with me. I don't want to go too fast to confuse the family. I cannot even engage and see what I'm going on, but I'm going through. So that prime meridian, which goes straight to Polaris, right, to the North Pole presently, and it runs straight down, also cuts the Earth in half, right? And the celestial and the equator of the Earth is extended to give us the celestial equator. So to the bottom left, we can see that is one line in itself. We can see the line going not diagonally, but we can see that green line right here, family. Okay, and we must also remember that the Earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Now the other line, that is one line here, okay, so it's still equator because the Earth is tilted, right? And we have the other line. The other line, family, represents the sun's ecliptic. The sun's ecliptic is the path the sun takes every year. The first line, family, we have is the celestial equator. The second line is the sun's ecliptic. I was saying the sun's ecliptic is the path the sun takes every year. That path, family, will not go above 23.5 degrees, the same amount of degrees that the Earth is tilted above the equator, and it will not pass the same 23.5 degrees below the equator. Above the equator is known as the Tropic of Cancer, below is known as the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, they use the constellations to basically give those two places their names. We have touched on, I think, possibly why in other videos, but we're not going into that right now. So the sun's ecliptic, okay, takes the path, its furthest path, 23.5 above and 24.5 below, and that is the other line we see, which forms the X, family. And the line running perpendicular to the center with the P is the one we can see on the right, going straight through the North Pole. Signs of the Earth and its rotation around or vortexing the sun. Here we have another representation of the sun's ecliptic. Basically, if you have let's say this is the equator, right? And let's say this is the 23.5, 23.5 here below. From the equator, which is the 0 point to the 23.5, is called the amplitude of the wave. And the crest is its highest point. Below, when it goes below, its lowest point below is called the trough. So this would represent the sun moving along, family. And if you continue that or mix that symbol, you would get the infinity symbol. Hope the family is with me, On the right, we can see the very same thing we spoke about. Going to the celestial North Pole, the celestial sphere, which represents basically the Earth. The equator being extended, being called the celestial equator now. And we have the sun's ecliptic forming that crest and trough against the equator, which would give us the other line and looking like an X. You see what I'm saying? So you'll be like, what? That oldest symbol, we saw that on Ptolemy the Third. You see what I'm saying? On Ptolemy the Third. So, like, what that have to do with anything? Remember, when the Greeks came in and they basically saw how we were moving, for lack of a better term, family, like real gods and goddesses, they were jealous. Let's put it real. They were jealous and they wanted to move the same way. You understand? But we knew the understanding that it was all part of the divine energy and the source as well. So it was like they came on an egotistic level. So the understanding came obviously from the celestials, because in my research, honestly, I haven't found one indigenous culture that didn't venerate the celestials, family, as though it was the celestials that was God, straight up. The celestial bodies. You see? So, again, yes, it is the Greeks, and Ptolemy the Third is the oldest finding we have of that symbol. But we know that the Greeks conquered, right? The Greeks conquered ancient Egypt when they came in 332 BCE. And we know by record that the oldest astronomical calendar is 4236 BCE, family. Straight up. You see how old that is. So obviously if the Greeks came in, they got that from us. And it's the understanding again of the sun's ecliptic, because on the sun's ecliptic lies what we know as the zodiacs. You see? And at the temple of Dendera in Egypt to the right, we can see the representation of the zodiacs right there. So knowing that we represent the sun, or we are basically children of the sun, Constantine get them understanding to a level. So it was like, you know what, let me try and make myself a god now, and use that Christ thing to actually bring the soldiers, because they were Christian soldiers on both sides. Now some people might feel, well, it's Christian to the Christians that we know today, but in my understanding, I will show you why not later on in the presentation. This is another representation how we paid attention to the celestials. This is the astronomical ceiling of Team Senonmut, right? Forgot to even put in the dynasty. History of Egypt by Maspero. Orion and the cow Sophie separated by the sparrowhawk. I see this in the sky right now between sky shots, but I forgot to put that in. And mind you, not now I have that video to do, I hope the family is still with us. Now remember, family, I read to you that Emperor Hadrian was one of the 5 good emperors in one of the earliest dynasties. Okay? It was Emperor Hadrian, as I'm sure that the family is aware, is the one they will see that wrote a letter, right, to I believe it's his brother, telling him about what going on in Egypt. So I got a copy of the letter here. I don't know what to say, is all sources or whatever. Academia EU, and I got the link right here, so you can go and check it out for yourself. Page 6 of the article. This is the letter by Hadrian. The land of Egypt, the praises of which you have been recounting to me, my dear Silvanus, I have found to be wholly light-minded, unstable, and blown about by every breath of rumor. There those who worship Serapis are in fact Christians, and those who call themselves bishops of Christ are in fact devotees of Serapis. So a lot of people will tell you, oh, that article was dismissed and whatever. On this website, which is updated frequently, it goes on to say that no sources have been found proven to debunk this letter. You see what I'm saying? Again, I'm a master student. If anyone have greater information, bring it my way. It goes on to say, let's read the sentence again. That's the dagger, as they like to say. There those who worship Serapis are in fact Christians, and those who call themselves bishops of Christ are in fact devotees of Serapis. There is no chief of the Jewish synagogue, no Samaritan, no Christian presbyter who is not an astrologer, a soothsayer, or an anointer. Even the patriarch himself, the patriarch. So the patriarch basically is supposed to be, one that's about Christ, right? When he comes to Egypt, he is forced by some to worship Serapis and by others to worship Christ. So that basically telling to me basically personally, Serapis Christos, Serapis was Christ, and those that worship him were Christians. That's all it basically saying, family. So that Emperor Hadrian wrote the letter to Sylvanus detailing what's happening in Egypt. Serapis is again who? Ptolemy the First, who ruled after Alexander the First. Alexander the Greek, or the Great as they like to say. Okay? And we can see that Ptolemy the Third, on his coin, he had the symbol of the Celestials. Now, United Kingdom. There is something referred to as the Gem of Emperor Hadrian. The Gem of Emperor Hadrian is basically a wall that Hadrian commanded to be built to extend the borders of the United Kingdom closer to Scotland. Okay, it's basically in Carrowborough, United Kingdom. As you can see to the right, along that border, Constantine ordered something to be built, because when the war was going through, it was like all day they had to be going through and setting and humbling and things. So there was a temple there, family, which was attended by the secret religion of the Roman elite officers. Okay, Constantine obviously being one of them. To their left, you will see a symbol of what some of us are supposed to be familiar with, being the symbol of Mithra. So it's Mithra's temple, 3rd century after the Christian era. I don't know why I keep confusing. Well, anyway, when I get the detail, I'm trying to put the thing exact for people, like write it exact straight up. But we see a Mithraic temple. You see? So, if Constantine is a Christian, why is he going to a Mithraic temple with the Roman elite soldiers? Let's have a look at Mithra quickly. You can see to the right, and I get stone images. I didn't really want to get drawing for you all, I wanted to get the real stone thing for you to see thing proper. Now, the name is derived from Proto-Indo-Iranian mitra, from the root mi to bind with the tool suffix tra, which means causing to. Thus, etymologically, mitra means that which causes binding. The earliest evidence of this solar deity is on a peace treaty of 1400 before the Christian era between the Hittites and the Iranian kingdom of Mitanni. There were also some Mitanni individuals involved in the uprising when they tried to rise up against Thutmose III, at the Battle of Megiddo, and we had to still crumple them same way. Yeah, the name just rung a bell still. Anyway, he is the god of light, whose cult spread from India to as far as Spain and Great Britain. This is the solar deity Mithra, right? As god of light, he was closely associated with the Greek sun god Helios and the Roman Sol Invictus. Because at a point in time when I was doing the research, I actually got the name Mithra Sol Invictus. His greatest feat within the mythology is Mithra slaying the cosmic bull, and the saying family, you have saved us through the shedding of the eternal blood. This is Mithra saying we're dealing with there. So doesn't that saying sound similar or ring a bell? Hmm? So what I want the family to see thus far, right? In all what going on, okay? In all what's going on, family, you get this symbol, the oldest version from Ptolemy, because you're going in the olden records. You are privy to the ancient records that allegedly they burnt all at the library of Alexandria, right? So you privy to the records, you get the vibe, you know, you change it up, give it your own twist. You see what I'm saying? Then we just box upon Hadrian and get a little part of his history. We see in the gem where you attended a Mithraic temple. You see? And then we explain Mithra. Now, apart from Eusebius giving that cross rendition of the dream, that is the only proof they have basically to say that Constantine embraced Christianity. Up to now, we don't know for sure if it's the cross, if it's a dream, or if it's a vision. If it's the dream the night before, but it is said that you painted the symbol on all of the soldiers' shields. So to me, it cannot be in the heat of the battle. You're telling everybody paint their shields with the sign. Come on, that doesn't really make sense, you know. So probably if you did have it, it was before the night before, and you made them paint the symbol on the shields. Now let's watch this. We ain't seen no vibe of no cross anyway. We haven't seen Constantine attending any church or what have you, any place that have no cross. Because of his victory of the battle, family, this is what Constantine erected in 315 CE. Now remember, the battle was in 312. So he erected this in 315 CE, known as the Arch of Constantine, the Arch of Constantine. Close up in the Arch, we will see 3 Roman pagan deities. Down, bottom, left, and right. We're going through all of them. The one you see at the bottom, family, okay, is a deity of the river. Now, the third longest river in Italy was called Albola, and is the Latin for white, right? For the white silt that accumulated. Its name was changed to the river Tiber or Tiber after an old country king named Tiberinus, who was swimming across, drowned in the river. He was swimming across the river, you know, an old country king, Tiberinus, and he drowned in the river, so they named the river after him. Now, since the river is of great importance to Rome, the river deity was highly honored. So they then changed the name of the river from Albola to the river Tiber, after the old king Tiberinus, who drowned in the river. So because the battle basically of Milvian Bridge was next to the river, he put that deity there, right? This is again the Arch of Constantine that he ordered to be built. The second deity, I don't know if the family remember earlier on in the presentation, we came across Victory being personified as the goddess Nike. So we see here the personification of Victory in Roman religion was depicted as a winged goddess named Victoria. She is the same as the goddess Nike in Greek mythology, right? So the same Nike in Greek is the same Victoria in Roman. Now, she is specially worshipped by the army and is also associated with Jupiter and Mars. I tell you about ancient cultures going back to astrology, family, or astronomy. Again, that's something we have to deal with again, you know, the astrology and the astronomy, right? Okay. The third one is the goddess Minerva. She is the Roman goddess of wisdom, strategic warfare, and victory. Now, she's not a patron saint of war per se like Mars, because Mars, you know, the red planet is like war and bloodshedding, but kind of like a defensive war, right? And from the 2nd century onwards, she was equated with the Greek goddess Athena. So we have 3 deities so far on Constantine's arch. No cross, family, no cross. This guy is alleged to be the first Christian emperor converted to Christianity. So we have 3 symbols so far. The 4th one is a depiction that is, you know, very common, where they call it to the sacrifice to Apollo. Apollo, again, you should know, being a sun deity. So we have in another section of the Arch of Constantine, we see an image that many has referred to as the sacrifice to Apollo, because people would sacrifice animals to this sun deity. You know, again, we're dealing with sun deities, and remember the symbol was actually the sun's ecliptic, crossing over the celestial equator. at a height no greater than 23 and lower than 23.5. Sorry. Eusebius, you lying son of a bitch. I couldn't write the whole thing, it would make it look too long. But Eusebius lie now. This is a depiction of Eusebius family. This is a drawing of Eusebius. Now, not only did Eusebius lie about the supposed dream, because how I say he lied? Because the art with Constantine attended a Mithric temple, right? While battle going on. He also made an arch depicting his victory over Maxentius, and he not putting no cross on there. There is no evidence of no Christian relic, nothing, no Christian symbol, nothing on there, family. You see? So all this basically just building up to show you that Christianity was built upon a lie. Straight up and down. So this guy named Eusebius, not only did Eusebius lie about the supposed dream that Constantine had, this individual has been at the forefront of the lie called Christianity. Now, one of the non-religious, which basically secular sources that Christians would point to for the existence of Jesus outside of the Bible is Josephus. Alright? Josephus basically is a Jewish historian who, in his work, is, let's say, a book, pages put together called Antiquities of the Jews, that there was a man called Jesus, and he wrote down a short paragraph of him. I didn't put it in there because I didn't really want to go into that. But the thing is, that text, or that particular entry of Josephus, has found to be a fraudulent entry committed by Eusebius. I asked even the goat of Christianity, Garfield read it. I asked the goat of Christianity if that basically has ever been debunked, and he tell me, no one has ever really debunked that, Eusebius didn't do that. So it was Eusebius. So we see Eusebius lying in Josephus's work, putting in an entry talking about Jesus to make people believe, as a non-secular source for the existence of this character. And then Eusebius lying about the Constantine dream being the cross in the sky above the sun. But then the sign said, in this sign you will conquer. So some time ago I had a post saying, I wonder why people not dreaming dreams like Constantine, man. You see what I'm saying? Some level or some symbol to make us go and conquer like that. You see? So it's all made up bullshit, family. But strategically making that up, whether it was for political gain or to gain more people in your favor in the army and them thing there. You see what I'm saying? You bigging up yourself. Now it is said, family, in the battle they had Christians on both sides, and that when they saw the symbol, whether it is in the sky or on the shields of the soldiers, many of the Christians started to believe in Constantine. You see what I'm telling you? Many of the soldiers started to believe in Constantine. But remember, Hadrian said the people in Egypt were called Christians. And they were worshipping Serapis. Serapis is Ptolemy the First. And remember, Ptolemy the Third, we got the symbol from. We got the symbol from Ptolemy the Third. That is not too far off, family. You check what I'm telling you? So we get the symbol from that, man. Constantine take the symbol, put it up, you check it, and then basically give us a rendition. And then his biographer, his personal camaraderie, right? Then building up everything. An early church father, Eusebius. You lying about Constantine's dream, and you lying in Josephus' work. I wonder where else did you lie, Eusebius? You lying son of a bitch. You check what I'm telling you? Footman would have cut you out. But if you're researching properly, family, you must find out all them weakness. Now look, Eusebius. I hope you're seeing him well. I hope you're seeing him, family. Now, boom. Why are you bringing Ethiopia in that position? Because I have to touch upon it, family. Because we like to go through the acculturation process too much. You check what I'm telling you? Without really researching the sources, and seeing where it comes from. So how Ethiopia tying into that? Because when Constantine had that dream and he basically won the battle, it was there like, okay, he's the first Christian emperor, Christianity well and nice, right? But the symbol that many will say that Christianity, that Constantine saw, the Chiro, goes back to Ptolemy the Third, okay, who his great grandfather basically is Serapis. And the Serapians, or the people that worship Serapis, were called Christians. I hope you're following me, family. So it then like possibly, that's all I'm saying. Possibly, or more than likely, those so-called Christians in the war there, on both sides, were basically descendants of people who worship Serapis, or their forefathers worship Serapis, passed it down onto them. That is why they were familiar with the symbol. They were familiar with the symbol. That's why it is said in the documentation of the war, it was like the Christian soldiers like started to believe in Constantine, and they started getting weak, and Maxentius starting to lose numbers now, and they're like, you see what I'm saying, family? So those people that converted and got that suffered for Constantine because of that symbol, they were familiar with the symbol from Serapis moving up, because it was Ptolemy the Third that created that symbol. Okay? That, after that, that power, that dominion that Constantine got, basically began the creation of what is known as the Byzantine Empire. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church family falls under the Byzantine Empire. It is no different. Byzantine just means medieval Roman Empire. To the left, you know the image and you can see the clothing, it's Ethiopia thing that going on. This is Meskel, the finding of the true cross. Okay? Because there are certain Christopherans that feel in the Bible so much. They have the cross, they have the Ethiopian cross in the neck. Someone have it like a big, like a big thing like you can hold, I'm not taking your faith. But you have to know where it's coming from. And this again was even given to me by even, a bedroom still, Akko, that information. Akru, Chromanti. Big up yourself, King. Yeah. Big up yourself. Though we might disagree on some subjects, big up yourself still. And this, it was amazing that he gave me that even before I did the live, because this actually tied in with everything. So the Meskel family, which is a Christian holiday, a very important Christian holiday in Ethiopia. Meskel, which basically is a Greek word for word of gears, which means cross. Meskel is a Christian holiday in the Ethiopian Orthodox and Eritrean Orthodox churches. It commemorates the finding of the true cross in 4th century after the Christian era. You hear that? The true cross was found in 4th century after the Christian era. What is the true cross? The true cross, basically, they say, is the real cross that Jesus Christ was hung upon. You heard me, family? The true cross is the real cross that Jesus Christ was hung upon. Okay. According to legend, it is said that the Roman Empress Helena received a vision and a dream. We have the vision and dream vibe again going through, telling her where to find the cross. She ordered the people of Jerusalem to gather wood, right? Which they made a big bonfire, and the smoke from the bonfire, get this, family, the smoke from the bonfire indicated the location where the cross was buried. When she went to the location, she discovered 3 crosses, because remember they say is Jesus and the 2 thieves. She saw the 3 crosses, and by a miracle she knew which one was the true cross, which one was the cross that Jesus died on. So who is Roman Helena that basically found this so-called true cross that they celebrate in its festival in Ethiopia? Let's have a look. The Roman Empress Helena, Saint Helena, you see there? Mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. I don't do that for myself. It is said during a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, she discovered the true cross. So one time saying is a vision and a dream, and now is a trad she make to the Holy Land, and she discovered the cross. You see that, family? The cross which Jesus died upon. Now this happened because remember the war was in 312, after the Christian era. He built the arch in 315. Basically, she was with his father, with Constantinus, right? But then because he had to become Caesar, I think he had to divorce her and put her away and marry, I think, Maxentius' daughter. You can fact check me on that, but all of that not really important. She had just disappeared on the scene, and she came back on the scene when Constantine won the war, right? So when he won the war in 312, in 315 he built the arch. Boom, she come around. In around 320, it is said that she found the cross, family. Okay, 320, she found the cross. Okay, in 325, we have what is known as the First Council of Nicaea. So you see how everything going accordingly, family. Now, while the Council of Nicaea was to deal with Arius' declaration, it was still part and parcel of the creation because it was they depict all of the books which will make up the Bible. You see, this is where the dates falling in. So we have him winning the war, building his arch, his mother come on the scene, boom, she played like she find the cross, right? And basically they broke up the cross, and then they send pieces of the crosses as relics to how many Christian churches. That's why Ethiopia have one. That's why they celebrate that. That's why they are doing this celebration. Okay? If the cross was holy and the real cross, I don't know why I'll break it up in the first place. Anyway, according to the dates, then we have, after she found the cross, the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. And in 330, or some sources will say 333 ACE, we have King Izana, who was the ruler of the ancient kingdom of Aksum. Okay, tradition states that he succeeded to ruler while still a child, and his mother, ruled as regent. He launched several military campaigns, and he recorded his inscriptions on stelae. One of these being in the ancient capital of Kush, Meroe, which he laid waste to. So he has a stele in the kingdom of Aksum, which they call the Izana Stone. I think, if memory serves me correctly, he basically had 3 languages, so it was sort of like the Rosetta Stone. He had the Ge'ez, he had the Sabian, and he had the Greek, right? The Izana Stone. But this one was in Meroe, that he had a stele, and on that he's basically accredited as being the first monarch of the kingdom of Aksum to embrace Christianity. So to the left is the 2 depictions I got of Izana, and obviously we'll pick the top one and not the bottom. But we still don't even know really according to history. I mean, we know we can go deep into sources, but what is fundamental about this is this individual, King Izana, who converted to Christianity, because that is very important, family. Ethiopia, ancient Ethiopia, after not even where it is there right now, wasn't on Christianity level. That is what I want the Christopherians to see. It was basically on animism, like a polytheism culture. Basically the same thing going on in ancient Egypt. You see what I'm saying? So when we see those things going on, family, we have to be wary and just go and do a little bit of digging, go and do a little research. We're stumbling upon people having dream vision. So all the time, people there in Ethiopia or around the place, they're not having no dream to point them to where the place is, to where to go and look for the cross. You see what I'm saying, family? It's all made up, man. You see? Now, the last kingdom of Kush called Meroe, the last capital of Kush called Meroe, King Izana destroyed it because it's like he on Christianity now, and is either being on Christianity, whether he did it again for political reasons, because apparently it's always some kind of politics or money. He laid waste to them because the people saying as we are coming on that, we are our ancient culture, you want to come on. The man laid waste to the whole capital, family. You see what I'm saying? Now, what is important is, how did Izana get to know about Christianity? Izana was converted to the faith by his childhood tutor called Frumentius, who then after Izana turned the whole of Aksum Christian, Frumentius now, he served as the head of the Ethiopian church. Look Frumentius there. Okay? I didn't even want to bring much about that individual, because that little saying I got on the side, which is sort of like a little prayer or a little saying they have for him, goes like this. He was just a young boy in a strange and pagan land. Pagan land, you know. But he made the best of the situation and brought truth and light to that desolate land and lost people. This is what the people think of people from the kingdom of Aksum. Our ancestors' family. This is what they thought of them. Pagans. You see what I'm telling you? And then it like fermenters go and convert them from pagans to Christianity. First being Izana and then the whole rest of them. Remember, Constantine's mother found allegedly the Holy Cross or the True Cross in 320. Okay? And then Izana converting the whole kingdom in 330. You see it? Now after fermenters, we have 9 individuals called the 9 saints of Ethiopia. This is a depiction of them you will see in Ethiopia family. Do these individuals look black to you? These are the 9 saints. Abba Aftisi, Abba Aleph, Abba Aragawi, Abba Garaima, other name Isaac, Abba Liquanus, Abba Guba, Abba Yamata, Abba Shema, Abba Panteleimon. Right? Why I brought these individuals up? Because they were fundamental in the creation of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church family. Because you see the same dressing they have there is the same dressing the people are still doing today. Now that Abba Garaima, also called Isaac. Okay? Watch out for the Isaacs. In Ethiopia, we have the Abagara Gospels. You know that old book you're always saying? I say, yeah, Ethiopia have one of the oldest Bibles. First is the oldest illustrated version of the Bible. Okay? And if the family has been with me through the whole presentation, who is the picture of that individual they're holding on in the book? Who is that? Who is that in the book? Huh? The lying one. Who is he? Remember? He lied about the dream. What the individual saw. He lied in Josephus' work. And I even forgot to mention, he even lied and said that Constantine baptized his mother. So it's like, since she was baptized and she's not a pagan anymore, then she is allowed to get a relic like the Christian cross. That's Eusebius family. What Eusebius, a lying individual, doing, in the most oldest version of the Bible. To the right now is Garaima. I'd also say Abba Garaima because you're not my father, because Abba means father. Garaima, that their family. You check what I'm telling you? Garaima left Constantinople in 390 AD. Remember, the true cross was found in 320. Peace brought to Ethiopia. Start the tradition, the Meskel. Right? It was like, okay, boom, Constantine dream. Okay, you dream, you say you turn Christian or what have you, although we have showed sources that Christianity can only point to what was going on in Egypt in terms of veneration to Serapis. Okay? So boom, you have your dream, Christianity. Right? Boom, your mother find a cross. She bring peace to Ethiopia. Word is being spread and everything. Your childhood tutor in Ethiopia, boom, converting his Christianity, 330. Okay? Boom, 390, Garaima leaving Constantinople and going to Ethiopia to write what is known as the Garam Gospel, which is a very fundamental book in the clergy of Ethiopia and the Byzantine Empire altogether. It is said that according to the legend again, that Garaima, in order for him to write all the Gospels, God didn't make the sun set. So he had like almost 2 days while the sun up and he did writing the Gospel just for him to finish. And when he finished, the sun set, man. You check what I'm telling you? So, what we are trying, or what we see happening rather in Ethiopia, is as a result of an acculturation process. That's why people will tell you, oh, Christianity was practiced in Ethiopia long before anywhere else, whether it's a black man religion and it started in Africa and them kind of way there. We show you through Constantine even because of him winning that war, began the Byzantine Empire, which the Ethiopian and Eritrean Orthodox Church falls under, family. We have his mother finding the cross, bringing peace to Ethiopia. Boom, they start the celebration. They don't have no gospels to go by. That one go from Constantinople, Garam, go and give them a gospel to follow. You see what I'm saying? Look, watch how big the book is. And look what is within the book. I just will show you CBS, That's another book, and we can see clearly that is not a black image, but Eurasian, family. You see? So this is how it all ties in. That's why I said in my post, all what I mentioned in regards to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the Byzantine Empire, look, I show it all to you in slides with information that you can go and check out for yourself, family. Real talk. So Constantine didn't convert to Christianity. He wasn't no Christian. And he used the sciences that they stole even from the time of Alexander and Ptolemy, right? To use the understanding to make himself like a deity, you can say. Because after the man do that, the man leave Rome, Man go to Turkey and made a capital in his name, Constantinople, Even his mother, for finding the cross, they even make a capital in her name too. Like them man just naming place after people, and we still waiting for a savior. For that I do all of that, Because they're like, we always want to wait for something, and mind you, I cannot look at comments. I don't know. I don't even know if anybody's commenting straight up. And I hope the live is still going on. But what I'm saying, sir, we like to wait for a savior too much. We already showed that because top scholars will tell you, well, there is a 33% chance in the existence of Jesus Christ and them kind of thing. Even though an individual, not named Jesus, obviously, or Joshua, whatever, existed, he didn't do any of the things in the Bible. He didn't have 12 disciples. He didn't have any of that. That part of the myth, okay, was taken from solar mythology, family, astronomy and astrology, and astrotheology. You see? And they got that knowledge from us. So the man come across that in records, you're like, I said, you know what? Not now. He probably looking to pull that stunt. Constantine, are you talking about? Yeah. So he was like, look the opportunity. Look them man, they're Christians in the war. It's them man that fights in the first and almost killing our whole army. Let's try and show them man we part of them too. Everybody just put that shield on your, just put that symbol on your shield, and then we go through. Boom, put that. The fellas recognize the symbol one time. The oldest place we have the symbol going to is Ptolemy the Third. I have to repeat because repetition is key to remembrance. You see what I'm saying? Because that information, you can bring that across to a Christian as well, You see what I'm telling you? And even in regards to how Ethiopia ties in, you can bring that to the Christapharians as well. Daggers. So it was like family Blavatsky and Constantine, because while we touch upon Ethiopia, we have to remember Constantine. Now, I doesn't really take her away because she a woman, she has make up enough thing too, but this whole line, this whole paragraph basically, is factual. So, Madame Blavatsky on Constantine says, Constantine, who drowned his wife in boiling water, butchered his little nephew, murdered with his own pious hands 2 of his brothers-in-law, killed his own son Crispus, bled to death several men and women, and smothered in a well an old monk. However, we are told by Eusebius, the lying son of a bitch, that this Christian emperor was rewarded by a vision of Christ himself. So, in regards to all of that, we can see that is true, also. That is not true. Awa. I don't believe that. An awa, for the people that don't know or not from the Caribbean, awa means no or nope. Don't believe that shit. And we have proved that this guy used a symbol that Christians from Egypt worshipping Serapis were familiar with to grant him favor of mostly all the soldiers on the battlefield, thereby defeating Maxentius, who even passed away in the river, which is obviously another reason why he would have the deity named Tiber, which is the god of that river, Albula, displayed on his arch. We didn't see one Christian symbol. The military standard that was there, it was like lines like you could actually tell was a military standard, what they would call a vexillum. Okay? No Christian symbol. And then boom, your mother play well like she find cross. They bring cross to Ethiopia, festival start. Then they send Garaima. They have the 9 sins. The nine saints, all of them Eurasian. Then you send Garima, who's Syrian, Eurasian again, to come and give me gospel. And I play well like that is the most ancient thing and I have to hold on to that. Not our fault. Because a lot of us suffer from that acculturation process. You see what I'm telling you? But this now should open our eyes to see, well, like, you know what, Rasa? You know the whole thing is really a lie for true. Now I understand while, yeah, jobs hard and nothing is going on and COVID around the place and sanitization and what have you. These things, family, in my view, we can call it the Great Distraction. Let me just see if it's still running. Let me just see what's going on. You think there may be 15 minutes left. This is what I refer to as the Great Distraction. Because these elites knew universally black people were awakening in consciousness. There's an awakening, well, not what's going on, it's still going on, but they're using these things to distract us, family. Because when we realize no one is coming to save our black asses, I think we will start to rise up and do for self, which is a lot of what the ancient teachers were preaching to us. You see what I'm saying? Now remember, it was Pope Leo that built the roof of the Room of Constantine in the Vatican, where Raphael painted the depiction of the battle at Milvian Bridge. Remember? And I told you to remember the name Pope Leo. So as the thing said, you have to know your popes. This is Pope number 11. Never has a pope been so dedicated to expensive earthly pleasures than Pope Leo X. He spent the huge fortune left by his predecessor in just 2 years. Leo had a fetish for bawdy jokes and obscene comedians, which were often performed in the Vatican with cardinals as actors. To maintain his lavish lifestyle, he sold indulgences. An indulgence was a pardon from hell for sins such as murder, polygamy, sacrilege, perjury, and witchcraft. His nepotism was as corrupt as any pope, appointing his son to cardinal at 14 years of age. When his cardinals conspired to kill him, he had the flesh of their servants ripped off with red-hot pincers to extract information. At a large banquet of dignitaries, Leo X made the most infamous and damaging statement about Christianity in the history of the church. Pope Leo X said, "How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of Christ has been for us and our predecessors." How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of Christ has been. Because you're paying tax in the church, right? And you're contributing, because obviously Loki didn't create an indulgence there for you, where you have to pay for. How well we know what a profitable superstition this fable of Christ have been, family. So this man knew. What made you think Constantine didn't know? You see? So my conclusion is pick one. These are basically all the images of Jesus I can get for you. Because even though there was a Jesus, I told you the Jesus that most people believe in and that they think existed is the one who did what was in the Bible. And the Jesus in the Sanhedrin did none of that shit. He didn't even have 12 disciples. Let's just say just 1 point. He didn't even have just 1 point. You see what I'm saying? So even though we have enough comparison and people calling themselves Jesus and what have you, look all the images, pick one. Because that individual ain't coming back to save you. We just saw how Constantine used ancient information, which is again why we research and study, to see what we come across and what lights that light bulb, sparks that fire. You see what I'm telling you? Because again, we always saying about knowledge of self. Knowledge of self includes your research and your history, where you came from as a people and what your people were onto, even spiritually, secularly, politically. You see what I'm telling you? So, it's a knowledge of self. So that when I come in to save you, family. So the knowledge of self, which involves your history and everything. The second one is know thyself and know the universe, and you shall know God. The universe is knowing of the celestials. And we can see that is the science that Constantine somehow understood and made himself a deity. That people will say his name even of today. And use strategy. Because he know they have men that believe in a certain symbol and somehow they outnumbered his men. So just play like you on the same thing and look it. So the conclusion, family, pick one. Constantine didn't have no freaking vision. It was all a science and a made up story. And we can see how Ethiopia got tied in, unfortunately. You see what I'm saying? And I hope it's still going through. Yeah. So it's the conclusion, family. And basically we are children of the cosmos. You see? To the right is the god main, even coming from Ethiopia. You can see the erection straight up. And every man, if your physical is moving well, every sunrise, you must have an erection. And we can see obviously what the goddesses being portals through the celestial and the physical world, giving birth even to, you know, the child, giving the black woman a child, and their ability to do this is in sync with the lunar, with the moon. So we are children of the cosmos, family. So we should stop waiting for a savior. I hope the family, you know, paid attention and enjoyed this little presentation. Even those that were not there, hopefully they see it later. Peace, love, and coconut oil, family. And let's liberate ourselves and know that no one is coming to save us, yo. And we must do for self. But first, we must know thyself. And having said that, family, peace, love, and coconut oil. Straight.